Morning. Welcome to today's FCS virtual event, Agile Marketing in Turbulent Times. My name is Catherine Divney, and I am the CRO of Investopedia and The Balance. I also serve on the FCS Executive Committee, and on behalf of the all-volunteer FCS Board of Directors and regional steering committees across the country, thank you for joining us today. We hope you are all doing well. We may not know when we'll be able to stage in-person events again, but that's not slowing us down from offering a steady stream of virtual events. Please check our website for updates and sign up for email announcements at the bottom of our homepage. I also want to thank all of you who have been renewing your membership. Your continued support is allowing us to provide content like today's event. The FCS is developing an executive online event series that will be for members only. Keep your membership up to date and you'll enjoy a huge discount on that subscription price. I will now turn the program over to our moderator, April Rudin, founder and CEO of the Rudin Group, who arranged to have today's very special conversation with our guest of honor, Dipti Kachru, CMO for the U.S. Wealth Management Division of JP Morgan. Welcome to Dipti and thank you for joining us. I want to encourage the audience to go to our event page to read more about their bios so that April and Dipti can kick right off with this very exciting conversation. I'll turn it over, April, turning the virtual microphone over to you.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you, FCS, and thank you, Investopedia, for this exciting webinar today. So I'm sure all of us are being bombarded with many different events and many different things that we can attend to take our time. But I have to tell you that for me, this is personally really exciting, and I hope for all of you to really hear this story of agility, this true-to-life story that took place at JP Morgan. So Dipti, thanks for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
So let's do a deep dive into the backstory here a little bit. In terms of your clients at JP Morgan, what are you hearing from them in this time of economic uncertainty?
I mean, you know, April, it comes down to a couple of themes, some expected, some sort of interesting or a little counterintuitive. You know, the big one that we'd all expect is I think our clients are trying to sort of dimensionalize what this means for them and their money. Right, as you think about where they are in their life journey, their sense of affluence, how do they start to understand what is happening in the markets and the implication of that? So there's this need to answer the question of, am I going to be okay? Do I need to do something about it, right? Because we're unsure, there's a lot of noise in the system. Should I set it and forget it? Do I need to lean in and adjust how I'm investing? And then more importantly, sort of what should my confidence level be in navigating it? So it's this idea of feeling informed, but in a very sort of personalized way.
I can't help but think that this is really also sort of a marketing moment for advisors and a time when they can really be more authentic and transparent with their clients. I mean, here we are all work from home. This is my home, you're in your home, and you know, we get to know each other in a much more authentic way. How does that play into your strategy?
I mean, all of it actually. I mean, you sort of spelled out the acknowledgement of that very sort of situation is what led to the campaign that we launched. It was the humanity of what our clients were dealing with, our advisors were dealing with, as sort of business leaders, we were helping the firm navigate. And to bring that story authentically at a time when we knew our clients were looking for advice really sort of was the kernel that led to it. And not just sort of in the context of giving our clients the ability to know that we're here and we're ready to help, but to give our advisors the comfort that even though they're working from home and working through some of the same transitions as we did with our kids and our pets and finding space in the home to operate effectively, it was okay for them to represent that reality and still know that they could help their clients.
Yeah, I mean, let's unpack that a little bit. I think that's another dimension that makes this so extraordinary is the B2B aspect and then the B2C aspect. I mean, I happen to know you have two kids and I don't see them in this frame, so I don't know where they are. Maybe
So
lots
a
of
story
our
for
rooms.
another time. Yeah,
But
hopefully
how
the
did you
kids
assess
won't.
that B2B? But the B2B opportunity and the B2B2C opportunity
Yeah.
that your marketing team has, right? And everyone really has, I think also makes us unique. How to humanize.
Yeah, I think it's probably what I love the most about my job is the B2B2C aspect of it, and the permission to engage directly with end clients, and build relationships with them through our storytelling, through our programs, through our campaigns, but also empower our advisors to do it even better. So having both dynamics at play makes for just more interesting work for us as a marketing team, as marketers, but essentially, I mean, finally, it's human beings. Like, I don't look at it as B2C, as B2B. There's
Right.
people, there's people trying to accomplish goals, and then what role do we play in sort of enabling those?
So Dipti, you mentioned your marketing team. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're structured and how your day-to-day functionality?
Sure. It's been a crazy 6 months, I'd say. I mean, we're a newly formed business for those who don't have that context. I mean, clearly JP Morgan has been in the wealth space for a long time. The evolution of the business under a single CEO and a new wealth management organization is relatively new. It happened towards the end of last year into January of this year. And that's just given me the opportunity and the privilege of rebuilding a team, bringing along some of the folks I've worked with all of these years, but also bringing in new talent. And the way we're organized is we're trying to be incredibly client-centric. And so my team is organized through a segment lens, where we're focused on the aspiring affluent segment, the established segment, and the high net worth segment. We're trying not to focus on product or offering or channel, but client first. And then we have functional leaders who lead brand and advertising efforts, marketing campaign execution, marketing controls, all of sort of the foundational aspects of actually getting stuff done. We also, I mean, I'm lucky enough to have the privilege of having incredible partners in our centers of excellence, whether it's brand and advertising or digital or media. And sort of the team comes together in operating around our core business priorities, our North Star, and really sort of break the mold of what wealth management marketing can be.
And any challenges, I mean, outside of the ones that we all faced in moving to work from home?
It's a lot of the same. I think, and all the time I spend in talking to my partners, both inside and outside, a lot of my colleagues in the financial services space, in the wealth space, we're all trying to make sure that our technology, our data, our infrastructure is in place to let us be more agile, right? I think it's not lack for desire from a marketing perspective, but these things require investment, and that investment comes to you in stages. And there's a bunch of work we need to do as marketers to prove that value when we're asking for those investment dollars. So I think for us, there's the lens of how do we build and prove use cases which require tremendous, investment in data and technology that helps us become better at engaging our clients in more relevant ways. I think the other side of it is just sort of comes with the nature of wealth management products, right? We're a highly regulated industry. We have a responsibility. I see it as a responsibility to lead clients to the right doors, in the right type of products for them, and how can we build more productive relationships with our controls partners, legal compliance, in guiding us to better answers, but still not losing the spark of creativity or speed, which is critical in this space.
Well, I mean, that brings us up to the most exciting point here, which is, how do we take on all of these challenges? Being in wealth management marketing myself for over 15 years, it certainly not the glamour job that many people have in marketing. It's not all about consumer brands. It's not about influencers, let's say, and some of the sexier things. I mean, I think that we have the reputation of being a little bit slow, a little bit stodgy, compliance, all of these different factors, and then layering on top of that, just the organizational structure of a firm like JP Morgan. All of that feels sort of heavy. How do you navigate through that?
Well, I think in just sort of your positioning, April, it feels like the FCS should have sort of a new mission, right, of making financial services marketing sexier. But no, listen, I think, and I've had sort of, again, the benefit of working both in the retail side of financial services, where I think it is a lot sexier because the scale is larger, the investments are larger, and so you can do more, to the asset management side or the traditional B2B side of it, where it does feel a little bit more constrained. And I think it's an evolutionary process, right? Like when I spend time with just financial services marketers, it's not that there's a lack of talent or creativity or passion for breaking through. I think we need to bring our partners along on the journey, whether it's, you know, our leadership teams, our sales partners, our compliance partners, to start to show value. That's the art and the science. I think the science of it has been harder for us because once you start to, and this is sort of what I've learned on the retail side, once you start to show that incremental value, like you're unstoppable, like you earn a seat at the table. Now, with this particular role, I have the incredible privilege of working for Kristen, who is sort of, you know, marketer of the century in a certain sense in the financial services space, and has been prolific in changing the perception of what marketing can do for financial services within JP Morgan Chase and outside. It was sort of a broad category.
Yeah.
So that's both a boon and a bane sometimes, right? Because she rightfully so is pushing us to be bolder, to break some of the barriers, to question our process, to work closely with our partners, and you know what we've been able to do. I think it's just a representation of when you have believers with you, and sometimes you got to earn that level of believers. When you have believers with you, like magic can happen.
Well, I'm a big fan, and what a great opportunity here. So another little area that I want to dig into that you mentioned is the product marketing versus the emotional marketing. I mean, certainly that's been a big shift and exciting area for us to really focus in on. And the commercial that you created that we're, you know, going to get to in a few minutes here really shows that emotional side versus product side. How did that sort of come about? Maybe you can just back up, and because I think that commercial, if we just think about it, really exemplifies, I mean, there's so many things that I want to dig into about it, but maybe before we see it, we could just think about how different, right, the positioning of that commercial is versus product.
I mean, I think we started, once you sort of start at the heart of what problem you're trying to solve, it leads the way to whether it's an emotional narrative or it's much more of a rational product-oriented narrative. Like we were very clear in our mission of what this campaign was meant to do, which was at a time of great uncertainty and which was unprecedented for just the entire community. What role did we play and how could we help? And as long as we stayed true to that mission and we sort of coalesced in a small group around that mission, we didn't feel forced. I mean, we made some interesting, you know, and again, as an art and science and a performance marketer, as I'd like to believe I am, even the choice of not putting a call to action at the end was very intentional for us. And you know, hopefully folks who are participating today will see that in the ad if they hadn't sort of picked up on it. But every little nuance of, we're not going to say, go visit this website, take this action, call us. We're here to help. You know how to find us. I think that's where the authenticity of the story starts to come through, and we've got to give ourselves the permission to do both. I think it's harder to do the emotional stories if you're not delivering product rational, sort of below the line, more conversion-oriented messaging. You need that. But I think once you've built conviction in an organization that you're going to do that, it opens up the door to have more authentic, emotional stories that's all about association and affinity versus selling a product.
That's so instructive, and it really hopefully gives our listeners a lot that they can think about and bring back to their jobs as well. I mean, just sort of speeding the plow to get things done so that everything doesn't have to check those boxes. So, you know, maybe now you can just share with us a little bit of the backstory of what happened. How did this happen so quickly? You know, just in my ear, right? Like, what happened there, Dipti?
No, listen, it's a good backstory for difficult times, right? I mean, essentially, like I said, you know, I have the benefit of working for Kristen, and she was the creative genius behind it. As we were thinking through our operating model, getting our advisors out of branches or out of offices, settling them at home, seeing what was going on in the market, looking at our data to see clients were looking for help, they wanted questions answered. We were rolling out a fair amount of education and outreach through that front, but how could we elevate that message much more authentically? And she literally wrote the script at 11 p.m. one night and sent it out to a very small group of us and said, let's make this happen, right? And this was a time where, like I said, we were a new business, we were still working through our marketing budgets and setups. And, after the initial sort of shock of my boss wants an ad out in 2 weeks or less, I think she gave us a week first. Then we sort of just, we did a couple of things that worked really well. I think that we've learned now in working with her over a period of time together, and a couple of things that I've worked with her on. One is keep this team small, like handful of people. Be very, very clear in the mission, right? And make sure we're all aligned and understand the clarity of that mission. And then keeping the team small helped, because we chose not to take this to an army of stakeholders. Right. We chose to make the creative process tighter and faster, so we weren't belaboring over, every single word. We right. pulled in our legal and compliance partners day one. When I saw that script, my first call, even before sort of the agency, was our legal counsel to say, all right, let's understand what in here do you not like, so I can fix it up front versus waiting for finished film or for versions down. When we're in creative development, we then take stuff and then we sort of go through this process of having to go back to the drawing board because things don't work. So I think and that sort of is the essence of Agile, right? Small team, clearly defined roles. We had a sense of who had the veto powers. Everybody did not. And we chose not to. So we informed folks about our intent to do so, but at the same time, we didn't try and over socialize it either. And I think that was sort of, I think, part of just the magic of how it happened and a little bit of the fun backstory of Kristen writing brief.
Well, that's a perfect setup. So why don't we queue up, before I ask you any more questions, why don't we queue up the ad now? And for our listeners, if there's any problem with the audio, please forgive us. We're in pandemic times now, so.
In these uncertain times, look after yourself, your family, your friends. But know when it comes to your finances, we are here for you.
What can I do for you today? Take a look at the portfolio and make adjustments.
Feel free to chat if you have any more questions.
Our JP Morgan advisors are working from home to help guide you through this. For more than 200 years, we've helped our clients navigate historic challenges, and we will get through this one together.
So honestly, Dipti, I've seen a lot of different ads and many different campaigns over the years, but I just get the chills watching that each time. I mean, I'm a big fan, and I'm sure everyone watching this is also. I mean, it just, to me, strikes the right balance of everything. Just talking a little bit about how to reassure your advisors by featuring them, showing your strength, your size, global wealth management, and then also, but your ability to connect with individual advisors and individual clients. I mean, maybe you can speak to that a little bit. It just seems like that is, I thread the needle with that. That's just comes through in every way.
No, thank you. And I'm seeing the ad after a while, so it sort of gave me goosebumps too. I mean, it is. I think, again, like I said, once, we tried to stay really authentic to our story. Right, where wealth management is a highly commoditized space, and it's hard to stand out uniquely or differently. And it was less for us because it wasn't meant to be a product push. It was less about trying to get you to take a very specific action that was sort of driving to a particular outcome. It truly was about doing what's right by our brand purpose, which is to help our clients make the most of their money. And as long as we stayed on that brand purpose journey, the narrative just sort of came very simply and clearly. the other fun part was to feel comfortable as a brand like JP Morgan Chase to feature our advisors in their authentic environments with their kids, with their pets, their dogs. And again, I think that brings the humanity in. This was in, traditionally if we do a TV ad and we do a bunch of these that focuses on our wealth management space, they're highly produced. It's sort of the norm. And this almost forced us to have a highly produced ad. We would have never gotten it done. And so, I think it was both sort of the intention and the will, but also the environment that made it conducive for us to feel comfortable and give ourselves the permission to try something that you wouldn't traditionally expect from sort of a global firm the size and scale of us. But eventually, what we do is we help our clients with their money. It's human to human, right? Technology to human. It's all about sort of delivering through that lens of humanity, and that's what came through.
It did. And, I think that's one of the things that I love most about it is that you actually took advantage of the times, right? It would have been tone deaf, even if you could have produced something that looked highly produced, right? And flashy and shiny, like that wouldn't have worked. Yeah. I mean, how do you see going back to highly produced,
I think, again, the role of media is different in different times and for different purposes. And, while we had this incredibly humanized top of the line narrative, we also had digital executions, which were much more rational in educating clients on themes and topics that we know they were looking for, which was sort of making it easy for them to find the information, sift through the noise a little bit. So it was a little bit of both. It's, moving ahead, it does give us the permission to break the mold a little bit. And I think that's one of the things I'm pushing myself and our teams to say, what is the new formula? Not just that, how people consume technology, just the advancement, like for example, from a pure media perspective, what we learned was the role of connected TV over broadcast or traditional online video. And how do we now think about connected TV potentially as a way to deliver more personalized messaging because you have the ability to do that? Yeah. Versus the formula that's been used over the years of what good or not good looks like, and sort of create our write our own little playbook. I think that's sort of the journey I feel like we're on and need to be is writing a little bit of our own playbook, and we're not going to get it all right. I think testing and learning our way into the space is going to be important for us, and we're going to be a little bold and audacious as we do it, but more to come.
Yeah, no, what a great message. Yes, these times have given, I think, all of us permission to experiment a little bit, do things a little bit differently, where we see JP Morgan spending money and spending time in executing this sort of campaign. I think that gives us all hope and excitement what future might look like. Can you share with us a little bit of the metrics and analytics? Was this feels like a success, but as we know, as wealth management marketers, we need to show some ROI. What did success look like?
Yeah, listen, as we thought about the media plan and the various aspects of the campaign, there was the TV ad. The TV ad was not meant to, like I said, there's no URL on it. We're not forcing you to come find us and click on something and do something. It was truly about showing we're there and we care and building affinity at a time where we believed we could be authentic about that affinity. So massive reach because we use broadcast. If you think about 25, 30 million people who got it in our target audience, and we will see the benefit of that from a brand health perspective or not over a window of time, right? There isn't an immediacy of ROI. It's about who we are, who we stand for, and bringing that through. However, in some of our digital executions, we could get a little bit more granular, right? So traffic that we drove, engagement that we had in our content, leads that got generated, it gave us another dimension to look at and just learn from. So, just top of the line numbers, and some of this campaign work is still on and in market, so it's an evolving story. But, over 800,000 odd impressions in our digital work. We had about close to 500,000 visits to specific pieces of content. Time of sight was very, very reassuring and positive. And leads. I think the other thing, if you really have to look at bottom funnel metrics, which we did just to understand the funnel and how the conversion funnel would work, you know, we've generated thousands of leads for our advisors where people, we just made ourselves easy for people to find as they were looking for advice. And that was the goal.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. No, thanks for those high level numbers. So do you have any, I'm just curious, any anecdotal stories that came back to you either from advisors or clients on the ad?
I mean, I think, listen, the advisors got a kick out of it, right? Like, where do advisors get an opportunity to sort of not just represent themselves as advisors, but represent themselves as who they are authentically in their environments? And so, you know, while this wasn't the driving factor of creating the commercial, I think a very happy benefit that we knew would happen was the feeling of connectedness that advisors felt, our advisors felt as a community, and the pride that they felt that the firm wanted to showcase them. And so, you know, just the videos that were being sent in, I had our communications partner who led the effort of getting these user-generated videos for our, you know, from our advisors. I mean, there was a lot of fun stuff that came in, and it was hard.
I bet.
It was hard to sort of pick and choose, but it did. I'm still getting emails from advisors saying, "Can I be in your next ad?" So that's
right. Maybe that's already being written. I mean, there you go. That seems like a natural follow-up right there.
That's
so
right.
I guess, you know, lastly, I would just ask you, I mean, looking back on it, just like we do as people, is there anything you would have done differently or,
you know,
that doesn't mean it was all right. That doesn't mean it was all perfect, but yeah.
No, listen, I mean, there's always things you can do differently, right? There's things you can do better, faster, more efficiently as a team.
Faster, I'm not sure you could do faster on this.
Well, listen, yes, it took us about 10 days to get this out in the market, but if you ask Kristen, she'll say we could have gotten on 7, and she's probably right. But, and this is it, like, you got to raise the bar, like, for every, like, this is the way I try and look at things, is for everything we do, there's always an opportunity to raise the bar. And in this case, given the moment, given what was happening around us and to ourselves, like, it feels special. So I don't want to nitpick on things that, you know, I would tend to focus on, and little things in the ad or the campaign that I would have liked to do differently. But, you know, I think we could have had a deeper holistic media plan, more connectivity in our messaging. There's little things as marketers that you feel you could do better. You know, our measurement formulas and infrastructure and test designs weren't built out, because if we had to do that, we would, you know, we would have lost time. And so we chose speed over perfection. And so now looking back, I think we're just going to learn. The way I look at it, this is a lens for us to learn. I think we were probably a little broader in our targeting than we would have been if we had planned this out. But you know, the whole, I think that for the moment, it feels pretty darn special. But there's always things.
It's awesome. I mean, I can't thank you enough, Dipti, for coming to this FCS broadcast, sharing your story. I think all of us in wealth management marketing can get a big jolt and get excited about what the future holds. I think it's a true marketing moment for us, and it is a game changer to mix up the art and the science, to think about the B2B and the B2C, to focus in on speed versus perfection. All of these things are disruptive to wealth management marketing and really make us excited for the future. So thank you again for.
Thank you, April. I mean, listen, I mean, I have the privilege of representing the team that actually worked behind the scenes to make the magic happen. And so, like, I'd be remiss if I wouldn't call them out. It truly was. It was a band of brothers and sisters who rallied because they believed this was the right thing across functions. And that's really what brought it to life, which is also another learning lesson for us, is how do you build these smaller SWAT team communities that sort of, and rally against the same mission. And I think there's so much more that we can do if we do that as marketers.
Sounds like we have our next topic, which is small teams. I think that would be a great one, how to build small teams and how to work through large organizations. So thank you again, Catherine. Thank you, Investopedia. Thank you, FCS. And
indeed, thank you.
Here we are.
No, thank you, April. Thank you, Dipti. And Dipti, thank you for sharing that remarkable window into your process. It's incredible to see how you were able to get such a resonant message out in such a short period of time. It's really a once in a generational opportunity for financial services. And I know those first few weeks we were all feeling very uncertain, just day to day in general. And to see what you were able to produce and what that can do for the company is just quite remarkable. So we really appreciate you sharing that with us today. And I want to thank everyone who joined today and let folks know that today's webinar will be available on demand. We record it so you can share with friends. For those of you, I know others in the FCS community would love to hear this story as well. So, but we really appreciate this. It's great for keeping our community, our community vibrant and engaged. So really special story. So thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
All right.